How did you all view work-life balance as?
For me, there was nothing called work-life balance.
I think it's the passion which drives you.
Another person the world lost last year was Sri Ratan Tata.
You're a very curious man. Do what you like or like what you do. If you don't like what you're doing, how do you like what you do?
Mr. Rakesh Junjunwala, who you worked very closely with.
He'd ask me, Bhaskar, मैंने कभी भी तेरे से कुछ पूछा क्या?
Both of y'all have a passion for trekking.
First trek I did was just after college. Maggie was not even there. This is 1978.
We had an arranged marriage. This guy at least goes trekking, which I've been wanting to do, so let me marry him.
I think we have been fortunate enough to have found something that we like.
How old are you?
She's 7 years younger to me.
What was the one learning you had from him?
His style was so different and the respect for his intellectual. He was the founder of the company.
What is your comfort food?
Curd rice for me.
Idli sambar.
What is a song that you're listening to on repeat?
Kashmir ki kali, deewana hua badal.
I'm delighted to be a part of Zerodha's 01 Media Network. If you want to learn from the lived experiences of our seniors, been there, done that is the channel to follow.
Hello and welcome. On this podcast, we talk to seniors about their lives, their experiences, their learnings, and how they're having an active lifestyle. We're joined by two very special guests today, guests I look up to. She has worked with lakhs of students for more than 2 decades, helping them become active citizens. He's been at the helm of brands that we love and use every day: Titan, Tanishq, Vistara. We're in conversation with Mrs. Vrunda Bhaskar and Mr. Bhaskar Bhat. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I usually start the podcast by asking our guests, how old are you?
She's 7 years younger to me. I'm 71.
What do your typical days look like now?
Sometimes some days in the week is start with the gym in the morning or a walk on other days. And then I have some philosophy sessions that I attend. Otherwise, if I'm in that phase, binge watching. Yeah, otherwise just meet friends and or read and things like that.
Mine is very boring to begin with. I'm up at 5:15, 5:30. After that, I do my morning disciplines of starting with lighting the lamps and doing my meditation and yoga. And then between 3 things, I do 2 at least, which is yoga, swimming, badminton. And by the time I finished with everything, had bath and go for breakfast, it's 9:30.
And given that both of y'all were working, how did y'all view work-life balance as? Did y'all have a similar definition or a different definition? And did you truly find it possible to maintain it?
For me, there was nothing called work-life balance. I believed that I behaved the same way at work as at home. So a lot of people at work used to find that very funny because I was unbridled in my behaviors. Okay, maybe I'm built like that or whatever. That whether I was in frontline sales and then marketing, whatever I did, that you felt responsible for all those who worked for you, all those you worked with, and so on. So that is very irritating to many people today because you take calls at any time in the night, you're available. And as you grow up, that sense of responsibility actually becomes more and more, that you ought to be available, you ought to be responding. And therefore, that was 10 years back. So it was not just the time getting utilized, but your head being completely oriented towards that sense of responsibility.
So when we started CMCA 25 years ago, I was like, of course, much younger, more energy. And I think it's the passion which drives you. I certainly didn't have any divide between work. I was working all the time. Like he said, it's in your mind every time. You feel responsible. It was like a new baby. And I don't think anything new can grow without that kind of passion and attention. Okay, you need it. But whether it has a cost, yes, it does have a cost. Mainly on the family, maybe on the self too.
I think both of us, this is something which I think we have been fortunate enough to have found something that we liked. We can keep talking to young people like, do what you like or like what you do. I mean, all these are easily said, you know. If you don't like what you're doing, how do you like what you do? I mean, we have been fortunate. I certainly have been fortunate because, you know, one was able to do something. And like she just said, it was the baby and it has no like or dislike. It is just
I
that.
agree with him
Yeah.
that there was no need to unwind because you loved what you were doing. So and CMCA was also like a family. It still is to a large extent, where you feel so connected to everyone. They are friends, they are colleagues, everything. So there was no need to unwind.
Both of you all have a passion for trekking. And how did you all make the time? I mean, was that something you all were looking forward to during the year? Or how did you develop a passion for it?
For me, trekking was because my brother, when I was very young, he would go off trekking, mountain climbing actually, to the Himalayas and come back and show us. Those days, no video, no phone. So just
The photos.
photographs. He project it. And I think I was inspired then and there. And so when he came, we had an arranged marriage. So when he came to see me, he had just come back from a trek. So I said, okay, this guy at least goes trekking, which I've been wanting to do. So I said, okay, let me marry him.
First trek I did was just after college. And, you know, I was not so familiar with I was in Bombay at that time. I don't know whether Bombay, you know, the spots to trek in the Western Ghats now probably are more common. But typically people living in Delhi and beyond go trekking, because of the Himalayas, you know.
Yeah.
So that's when a few of my friends from my classmates, they said, let's go up to Kullu, Manali, trekking. That was my first trek. You know, we trekked up the Bias and of course that time very young, and we did everything, you know, carried everything, including a pressure cooker in our backpack and cooked our
You
food.
were not the let's eat Maggie on the.
Maggie was not even there. This is 1978. 78, 79. So we would do our own nuggets was the typical khichdi that we cook.
But it took like 13 years after marriage for us to trek.
So the next trek after getting married, that first trek is very memorable. As in, we went to a place where it was Himalayas, all right, but I think for her, it was very exciting. Towards the end, she almost wanted to give up, but we had a friend, and the start and the end of that trek was absolutely fantastic. Not the trek itself, where we took off from, and he's still one of our best friends.
Which trek was this? Where was it to?
It was from Kalimpong.
Zongri. It is Zongri Top. It's in Sikkim.
Since then, we've done about eight or nine Himalayan treks.
Maybe more. Only Himalayan treks.
Only Himalayan.
Yeah, we go.
No, I think we've done.
Together, we go only to the Himalayas. So I had some colleagues at work in CMCA. So every year we go to the Western Ghats.
Is there any trek you're looking forward to you haven't yet done you want to do?
I want to trek in Nepal because I've not done, and I've heard a lot of stories about it. I had a knee injury about 14 years back. So that's actually restricted me quite a bit. So I wear a lot of knee braces and everything. The only thing I don't want to stop ever is to trek.
I wanted to change gears a little bit. I wanted to talk about when you were younger, what were the kind of role models you all had? Was there anybody you all looked up to?
I think no. I just do things that I want to do, I like to do. If somebody else has done great things, I admire them. Okay, maybe what is inspiring is when I'm not very social. So, meaning I'm.
That's not a bad thing at all. I mean, I would count myself in that as well.
But when I see a friend who talks a lot, entertains guests, and well, I find that I'm like really admirable, and maybe I'll try to understand how she does it and be like her. In the only things like that, which I find difficult.
Everybody, I try to learn from everybody. There's something somebody does which is exceptional. I just looked at that book there, John Le Carre. I really love the way he writes. But not just his prose. I mean, his expertise on the subject, Frederick Forsyth and John Le Carre. We had a dog called Bozo, a Labrador, when Aditi and all were kids. And one thing I learned from him, what is unconditional love, I used to hate him. But every time I come home, he's licking you. And, I said, there's something to learn, unconditional. He had no, barriers, he hates me or anything. Like, he just... So like that, you learn from so many people.
You took over from Xerxes Desai. What is the one thing he told you when you took over? What was the one learning you had from him?
Actually, his style was so different, and he was so much... he was much older, and therefore, in a way, that respect for age and the respect for his intellectual prowess, if you call it. Apart from everything else he did, he was the founder of the company. So if I were to take one leaf out of his, his attitude to business, and when I went for the interview, this whole thing is, I preceded Titan. The company was formed after I joined the project. So I responded to an ad which said, watch project, some company is going to get. So when I went into his room in Tata Press, outside there was this big board that think big, So that remained. When I went in, I didn't know what it meant. Okay, think big, like IBM used to say think and all that.
Yeah.
But I had prepared myself technically, watchmaking, what is a movement. I had gone to the British Library in Ahmedabad, read about watches. It was a marketing executive. And it was like that, he was sitting there and then he started talking about the world watch market. I said, hello, this is now out of syllabus, I don't even know anything about the world watch. I hope he asked me a question about quartz watches or mechanical watches, nothing. He was selling the job. In the sense, he was painting his vision, this think big. At that time, you realize that, the transitioning from somebody who's, middle class, good education background, you at the end of it, you want to get into, you go at the placement, you want to get the best job and then strive after that.
Correct.
The transitioning of how, I won't say visionaries, certainly what is entrepreneurism, what is visioning, and therefore what is think big. What does it constitute? That gap in your thinking. Everybody can think big, I feel, You're just constrained by your upbringing. Saying, no, you are meant only to do this. And so this generation, the current generation, even beyond my children, the startup energy in this city, in this country, I have said in every public, opportunity that it is we who have enabled that to happen. We, till our generation, it was, you get a good job, you have to look after your parents, you have to look after your children. Yeah. We freed our children from thinking like that, saying, do what you want. You don't have to look after us. Look after yourself. I think a whole lot of parents today have given that freedom to their children. Say, do what you want. You don't, that burden it is the India story, frankly, I'm telling you.
The world also changed.
Yeah.
Has been guaranteed in a way.
When you took over, Titan grew leaps and bounds. And one of the people who saw the investment in Titan do really well is Mr. Akhil Junjunwala, who you worked very closely with. He's unfortunately no more with us. What is one of the memories you have with him which you'll always remember?
I think the only thing I remember about him, I mean, you see, business and his intuitive sense of how to invest, what Titan should do, etc., was well known. But what he brought to me and to us in a way, but to me more, was an exceptional sense of warmth, friendliness. I had directors telling me, I don't know why you take his calls. Suspecting that, there would be insider trading stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what courage I had, because I had faith in the guy. He would tell me, he'd ask me, Bhaskar, मैंने कभी भी तेरे से कुछ पूछा क्या? कुछ भी पूछा क्या? But his affection, extraordinary. He was emotional. He did his 50th birthday. That's where she had a knee problem. So much, he'd say, we're going to charter a plane. You should come in that. Mauritius, okay? So it was not about business at all. So every time he'd say, यार तेरा टिकट लूंगा तो तू बोलेगा मैं तेरे को bribe कर रहा हूँ. मैं कुछ मांगा क्या तेरे से? He'll cry, he'll cry as, please come here, like that, So it was...
He was very fond of it.
Yeah, very, very, very affectionate man.
Did you also get a chance to engage, interact?
Many times with the family, and when we go to Bombay, we go to their house. He supported CMCA in a big way.
No, for Aditi's wedding, you know what he did? The day I went and told him, he was close to the family. I said, look, Aditi's wedding, 25th October. He was thrilled, of course. And within 3 minutes, he was making a call. Making a call है 24 अक्टूबर को तेरे को बैंगलोर आना है परफॉर्मेंस करने का. After he kept the phone now, I said, किससे बात किया तू? शंकर महादेवन से यार. वो उसको बोला मैं बैंगलोर में आके अदिति का वेडिंग के लिए तेरे को परफॉर्म. Aditi was so upset, So I had to tell him, boss, अभी तो हम लोग पार्टी करते, तू इतना बड़ा आदमी को लेके बता, So he was like that. And what? He had no reason. He said, मजा करेंगे.
Big heart.
Very large-hearted, very large-hearted,
Certain.
I can imagine. Another person the world lost last year was Sri Ratan Tata. The nation was in mourning. How would both of y'all remember him?
Everybody knows about his simplicity and so on, and his big thinking. Every time, without fail, even when he was the last meeting, he would walk up to the door. And I'd sometimes laugh at him, At the door, he said, do you have a car? I said, sir, why are you worried about my car? Please go back. So exceptional human being. And I know his staff was also like that, They would adore him, as a human being. So those were the few interactions.
I wanted to ask you, you worked with lakhs and lakhs of children through CMCA. What are some of the most memorable moments that you have, which in many ways made you start CMCA and then through the course of working there?
There was this girl, Lavanya, in one of the villages, and where she insisted that their house, the government was giving a grant for building toilets. So the homes didn't have toilets. They would go to the fields and, all that. And for women, it was very embarrassing. So she went on a hunger strike in her house and insisted her father use the government scheme to build a toilet. And so she got that done. And after that, most homes, about 200 homes in that village, then were inspired also to build toilets because the women folk put pressure on them. We have something called Makla Grama Sabhas, where, the children sabhas, the Gram Panchayat, but it's for children. So they've been able to get roads repaired or their schools get toilets these all children fighting, okay, and writing to either the MLAs or the village leaders. They've stopped child marriages have been stopped. In that, though we've heard like quite a bit of stories.
And talking of children, you'll also have grandchildren. How do you all connect with your grandchildren? Is it easy?
She's the one who connects, like, physically.
No, it's easy when we are together, certainly.
Yeah.
She going to Malaysia, she'll go to London.
Yeah, if I miss them, I go there because I feel okay, I'm able to go now. Who knows when things change.
They also come.
But otherwise, it's because of the English UK accent. Okay, it becomes very difficult to understand what they're talking. It's all English. So then I tell them to spell it out. And they must be thinking, what is this Doma now?
No, but I think one common, what connects her or this house and is they like the food. They like, irrespective of, what they eat there, they like the food.
They love idli and chutney puri and
so like that.
Sambar and tambli and all that.
And what kind of games do you play with them?
Yeah, we do. Game, if you take chess, but we played soccer outside. But the fun thing we do is go by auto, because for them auto is not available. So we go by auto to Kaban Park and come back.
I wanted to come to the last section of this, and it's a rapid fire. The same questions for both of you. Because you love binge watching, a show you're currently watching or your all-time favorite show?
Okay, Self-Made. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay.
It's a show on Netflix, I think. So it's about how the Black women in America, they are, she started this brand, cosmetic brand. So it's a story of that.
So I did binge watch. The biggest one I did was John Le Carre's, and that was in London. That is the hotel. What is that?
He's all this spy thriller.
All thrillers. And the one I remember forever is Jamtara.
Of course.
And it must be something humor I've researched as well. So
quite a bit.
I binge watched that, both of them.
A book you're currently reading or your favorite book?
Two favorite authors, three actually, all of them same genre. Frederick Forsyth, John Le Carre and Robert Ludlum.
Any book which is interesting and I come across, but favorite is, there's a book called The Gut.
The Gut.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where this French author, student actually, she's written about the gut in a very humorous way, but very illuminating way.
What is a song that you're listening to on repeat or your all-time favorite?
My all-time favorite is Carpenter's Top of the World.
Mine is only one. Kashmir Ki Kali, Shammi Kapoor in the boat, Deewana Hua Badal.
What is your comfort food?
Curd rice for me.
Curd rice?
Idli Sambar.
Idli Sambar. Yeah. Okay. Curd rice, yes. 3 items that are still on your bucket list. Can also be treks, which you already did mention, but yeah.
I want to sing well and dance well, which I can't do currently. So that I want to do before I'm too old for it. And the other one is a little spiritual, but I want to find myself also.
What about you, sir?
Yeah, very clear. So the first is musical instrument. It's all there. And my good friend, Rakesh actually gifted it to me. Second is a journey itself, which when I retired, I told her, and I've not yet started, which is traveling by train, like the Golden Quadrilateral, across the country. And the third is learn one more language. I started, but it's not for the language. It's for what is it? So I started with Sanskrit. So I'm not learning Sanskrit. I'm understanding the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit.
The last 3 questions is about advice. One that you would, given the experience you have in life, the advice you would give to your 30-year-old self.
to my 30-year-old self, I would say, don't be scared. Go out and do what you want.
What about you, sir?
Clearly, my 30-year-old self, I would say, care about your family. You need to care about how you deal with them, how much time you spend with them.
The advice you would give to a 21-year-old student who's just graduating from college?
Okay, somewhat similar. I would say, don't let things bind you down. Experiment with new things, with whatever you want to do.
It's I try to do this with my son, and, to tell the young people, I hate to sermonize. I hate. So I tell them, you trigger what you want. If you are coming to me, you trigger the conversation, and I will share with you my experience. Learning is yours. My time is available, and therefore seek the answer through learning rather than expecting me to give you an answer.
So, the advice you'd give to someone who's just retiring and entering the silver years?
There's a lot of life left. I mean, I feel now is the time to do things which you would not have done earlier, either because of family responsibilities or so. If you are able, focus on your health and do things which you love. I feel some of the best years of life is after 50. 60 is really nice. I'm in my 60s, so I'm enjoying it.
Mine is simple. I would tell anyone, remain mentally and physically active. I mean, curious. I tell people to be curious, but then to some curiosity, they don't know what is curious. I've seen her father. He would be doing Sudoku at 99. He'd be doing, WhatsApp, taking photographs and videos, cracking jokes. So that, mentally active and curious.
Sir, ma'am, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you for
a learning
coming.
Experience for me, and I'm sure our viewers are going to find it equally insightful, and they're going to learn a lot as well. No, they definitely will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.